I left out some really important things when talking about the Nativity. I forgot to talk about the new baby Jesus. Okay, so this new baby Jesus, okay, Jesus is actually code for Jesus, so it could be anyone. I still think that the Jesus 2,000 years ago who was crucified and was claiming to be some sort of messiah or something. I do still think that he's AJ Miller, and he's back again with his partner Mary, who was the original one, and that was where the stories came from. But yeah, he couldn't walk on water. He doesn't have magical powers. He still doesn't have magical powers. He knows this. He's preaching this, but people don't really care because he doesn't have any magical powers, so they don't really want to believe that he's the real Jesus of 2,000 years ago. But anyway, but yes, the modern day Jesus, I guess, is going to be this new baby that's just been born, because he is Thomas's son. I feel like that is evidence, because on the day that he died, this guy committed suicide. On that day, I happened to be in Ibiza. Now, I've only met this guy once. This guy knew that I was in Ibiza, but yeah, there happened to be a place called Jesus just near my hotel, about a 15-20 minute walk away. And I decided I saw it on the map and I was like, okay, I've got to go and buy some wine from Jesus because that just sounds kind of cool. I don't know if it's actually pronounced Jesus. It's spelt like Jesus, but it might be Jesus or something. They might have said it. It might be pronounced that slightly differently, but it still says Jesus. But yes, it was that day that I found out that he had killed himself. And the story of Jesus, this father and the son are supposed to be the same person, and it's a story of someone dying and being risen again. I do believe that people die all the time and rise all the time because it's just called reincarnation. But yeah, the fact that my sister is going through something that I believe that I went through when I was living my first life as a cave woman. I believe that I got pregnant by a semi-evolved monkey. I too would have been partly monkey too. I mean, we were all Neanderthals really back then. But yes, I believe that person died and became my son. Hence why I have this Martin guy who I met on March 7th as well. And this baby was born on March 7th. So the day that I met the guy, Martin Dodd, who I believe was my son in a past life, that's the same day that on the same day, different year, 10 years later, yeah, the same day that I met the guy that I thought was my son in a past life, and I have been preaching that for 10 years. The coincidence of that is so unlikely. And Sophie's other son that was born 3 years ago, he was born on March the 11th, and March the 11th happened to be the day that he first came to he first invited me over to stay. So first of all, I had a massage on the 7th. I had a massage. He booked a massage, and on the 3 days later, he invited me to just come out and talk or hang out or whatever. And I ended up staying the night. But those are the two dates that link to me. And then I just saw him on April 7th and April 23rd. It'd be really funny though if Sophie has two more kids and has them on April 7th and April 23rd. But yeah, whatever. I don't want her to have any more kids because I don't think she's particularly great at looking after them. I think she's rubbish. But anyway, whatever. So yeah, I believe that this baby is kind of like the new Jesus, not something special, not something that can walk on water, but yeah, he is special. Everyone's special, and he's a very, very cute baby. But yeah, he's gonna have to put up with quite a lot, because he's gonna have to grow up without a father, and he's gonna have to grow up with my sister as a mum. But anyway, he's got me. And if I'm going to be exposed as being Christ soon, well, he's going to be a very famous baby. So hopefully the world can be his father. But yes, he was a nice person. I met him once, and he bought me a pink gin, which was quite nice. He also bought he had a garage, and in it had a stack load of pasta, like huge, like basically like 2 years worth of pasta. My mum's got some pasta, my sister's got some pasta, and well, I've ended up with quite a lot of pasta too. And pasta is absolutely my favorite thing. And so yeah, every time I eat pasta all the time, and I think my mum was going to give it away to some restaurant, and I was just like, what? But I eat it all the time. So it's nice to actually have a memory of this pasta. But anyway, yeah. So I've got a strong feeling that it's the same person, definitely. But I can even see, I can see a Thomas in him, and that's even what Donnie said. Even Donnie wasn't sure if it was his or not, and because he's partly black. I thought it would show in the baby, so it would work out on the day if it was his or not. And yeah, when he first came, he was actually a lot paler than I thought he would be, because all the pictures I saw of him are in LA, where he would have got a good tan and would have been quite a lot darker. But yeah, he's actually really pale in real life, and even he was just like, yeah, I can see Thomas, I can see a little Thomas in there. I was like, yeah, I can see a little Thomas in there too. But I don't know. I don't know how his family are going to feel about this. But yeah, he's a very lovely baby, and I think he would he was someone who, as a person, an older person, an adult, that what I remember of him, I felt like he was someone who wanted to do a lot more, and I definitely see that same characteristics in this baby. Even though he seems to, my sister is definitely holding him incorrectly, but anyway, hopefully she will fix that, or hopefully they're going to go into a mother baby unit where she is watched, and when the baby gets a bit stronger and his neck is a bit more able to support himself, then maybe Sophie won't have that. Yeah, there's always going to be problems, I think, because um, there's a guy that Sophie met in the mental hospital a year ago, and well, he contacted her yesterday, and in a couple of text messages, she was like, "Oh, I've got a new boyfriend now." What? He's just some guy who said that he's lost his phone. Actually, I think he said that the police took it. The police took it away because he got involved in this fight, and he ended up being charged for attempted murder because this guy was hitting on his ex girlfriend or something like this, and he ended up going to prison over it. So terrible, terrible person. And yeah, he's Sophie's kind of like, oh, he's my boyfriend now. I mean, I don't know if she's saying this just to piss me off, but yeah, he's she said things like, "Oh, I'm inviting him over. He's going to come and live with me and the baby in October." What? What? You got to be joking. I mean, if Sophie gets this child, I think there needs to be a protection order on this child for a very long time, because if Sophie thinks that it's okay to just invite whoever to the flat, that's very concerning. And Um, the problem is, though, I've got a feeling that she will try and lie about everything. Like when the social worker saw this video of the baby being held very incorrectly, her only thought was, "What? Why did you say that? Why did you send that?" And just this, no concern to the actual fact that child was probably in a very uncomfortable position, looking, not looking. It was like her only concern was looking good for the social workers to try and get rid of them. And even when we had a meeting just before the birth, that there was a few weeks before, whether the child should still be on a protection plan. I mean, I was thinking, yeah, 100% Sophie should be on a protection. I mean, I didn't necessarily see the early stages why it should be on it beforehand, but yeah, I was 100% thinking as soon as the baby's born, yes, that of course there's going to be a protection order on this child. But Sophie was just like devastated. What? Why would that not happen? Yeah, I see why that would happen when the child's. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like her plan would have been to come to mind to try and get rid of social workers, and then just gone off to live in her own flat. And yeah, without. I don't know what will happen. But if she thinks that that's oh, but he's only violent towards other people who try and date his girlfriend. I mean, he's not going to be violent to his girlfriend at all. It's just like, yeah. Basically, I was watching this. It's the end of the effing world. It's a series on Netflix, and I was just watching that all day yesterday. And she showed me pictures of this guy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, he looks like a slightly older version of. There's a 17-year-old. This Netflix series is about a 17-year-old um, who finds this girl who he's a sociopath, he's a psychopath, and he wants to kill someone basically. And he sees this girl and thinks, you know what, I think it would be really interesting to kill her. And she wants to run away. She's a bit of a, oh, I can do everything. No, doesn't see risk, doesn't see danger. Hates my parents. I want to go off, want to do stuff. I want to have fun. This couple get together. They run. It's a very interesting documentary actually, because they have very different opinions. One of them's just out for fun and sees no risk, and the other one was like fantasizing about killing her and stuff. And you could tell that he's a psychopath by the way he acts, by the way he talks, by the way everything about him. And when I questioned Sophie about this guy, and saying, does the character of this character remind you of that character of that person that you met in the hospital, in the mental hospital a year ago, who's now saying is your boyfriend after a couple of text messages? Does that similar? And she was like, well, yeah, he is a bit like that, but it's not psychopath. I mean, this is just a film. It's got nothing to do with reality. And it's like, no, it is. These films, the people who make these films, they study people with psychopathic, problems, and they try and make the character as realistic as possible. So yes, this is the typical characteristics of someone with a psychopath tendency. Someone, the characters are designed to be as realistic as possible. And if you're just going to put this character and just say, oh, it's just autism, and this is not how psychopaths really are. They'll be a lot different. If someone was wanting to kill you, you would know. Yeah, no, you don't. That's the whole point of that's why I really like that series. There's about eight episodes, so I watched all eight episodes, and then there's a series two, which I'm slowly getting around to. But yeah, it was really funny. Well, it was funny, but it was strange when she showed me that picture. It was just like, that reminds me of that guy that things I watch on TV seem to link with things that happen in my life, and I feel like that was just a big warning sign. I mean, I'm not saying that he was actually like that. Maybe their connection in the mental hospital, was a lot stronger than. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, she chose Thomas over that guy because Thomas didn't have a violent streak and this guy was more violent. So if you chose Thomas over this guy because of he was, this guy was too violent, then why would you choose him now just because Thomas isn't here any longer? I mean, and you're not thinking about your child. I mean, I don't. She's not going to live with that guy. I mean, if she is, the social workers need to do their proper checks and they need to know who Sophie's hanging out with and who's living with. But if she thinks that that's a possibility, she's going to be like, oh, why are you saying this on video? Why are you telling everyone? It's like, I have to. I have to. Seriously, this is not just about you living by yourself. If you want to live with weirdos, you can do that. But you can't live with weirdos whilst looking after a 3-month-old baby. She needs to grow up. And yeah, I'm very concerned that she hasn't.